So I wanted to talk about the lizard people or reptilians, because I I heard about cannibalism in the Epstein files. I'm not really interested in reading them myself. I think, it's like spirits told me a lot of things that I later found out were like big conspiracy things, or I remote viewed things I then found out were conspiracies that a lot of people believe. Um, I knew a little bit of conspiracy lore anyways, but I think I never really went into the deep end. um I'm kind of not, I don't really want to look into the Epstein files because I think it's really sort of annoying that for a long time people have been saying things instead of considering that someone might have some powers of remote viewing, or that someone maybe is telling the truth and carefully parsing through it. It's like, nah, course not. You believe that? Come on. But now that the Epstein files are out and there's talk of it, and apparently there's some things coming out about cannibalism, really, really severe cannibalism, even, like making. I heard something about they're making jerky out of the flesh of babies. It's pretty awful. I don't know. To me, that does sound like that brings up like the lizard people, because why would humans do that? Really doesn't make a lot of sense. I've always connected the elites to aliens as well, because I suppose aliens would have a different sort of karmic system that they could do different things, and that would explain why the elites do such immoral things and don't really like. They're not really affected by it whatsoever in some cases. So, I'm just going to say some different things that I've experienced or heard, and about what might be going on with the lizard people, so to speak. First of all, there's the whole. So, I want to first though detract from the lizard people a little bit. I've heard that there's like 200 impact craters that are very similar throughout the world, and it's thought to be the landing sites of 200 fallen angels. The other thing is the elites. A lot of them are called blue. They're considered blue bloods, like the old wealth. So this maybe suggests that there's a very particular race that's in control, that I wouldn't even know how to describe. Really, I don't know what that means. Is it like some kind of old Phoenician elite that has been around since then? Does it come from Atlantis? Who knows what it really means. I always think it's, when I hear blue blood, I think Syrians, and I also think like Hindu deities. So maybe it's even an Aryan thing, but I don't. The thing is, Aryans becomes a little bit of a weird thing to talk about, because are Aryans blonde and blue-eyed people, or are they like golden-skinned people, like in the Hindu rote? Like if you look at Aryans in India, they're golden people, really, and that's the thing with them. But that's what they look like. But that doesn't really match up with like Nazi era propaganda. Also, like the 88s, they view the Nordics as almost being more racially pure than them, but the Nordics really pretty much look Slavic in my mind, which they were supposedly racist against the Slavs. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I think there is some racial element to, you know, who is the true elite with this whole blue-blooded thing. And perhaps it connects to aliens, and there's some lineage from fallen angels or something. I've had some experiences talking to beings that have told me things like this, but I don't really know the whole story. Like it kind of seems like the Greys are actually fallen angels. That might make a deal of sense. I don't believe the Greys are from the future whatsoever. I think that's complete nonsense. I mean, I guess it's possible. I don't see a compelling reason to believe that. If they were from the future, wouldn't they try to fix the past? I mean, not necessarily, but the narrative just doesn't make any sense to me. So then we move on to the reptilians. Okay, well, if these Nephilim bloodlines are in control of the Earth since a long time ago, where do the reptilians really fit in then? I mean, they must not be in such direct control because we don't see them. This begs a lot of interesting questions. But then there's different types of reptilians. There's the Naga, who I wouldn't classify as reptilians at all. I mean, maybe technically they would be, but they seem to be really their own group. They're sort of doing their own thing. They sort of act as like the probation officer of the human race. I don't know, I guess we did something to piss someone off and now we're on probation. And then there's as far as reptilians, I've seen these like more like dragonic looking ones that have like these very big like alligator like heads. And then I've seen ones that have like have more human faces, you know, and this is accounted for in like UFO type lore. The different types of reptilians, are these actually different beings? Are they like different hybridizations like the Lord talks about? Who knows? So that's where I think this gets kind of sticky, is, you know, in a movie, and like V for Visitor, from what, the 80s or something, forget when that came out. It's a good miniseries. You know, they rip off their faces and they all look the same, but like when I astral project, I see, you know, many different types of these things, and I've only seen them on the astral plane like 3 times. The other thing is the mythology of like reptilians. Like, even if we talk about like some of the reptilians of old mythologies that seem kind of similar to the UFO type reptilian, I think they also would eat people. I don't know, I'm not that familiar with the mythology. But some people speculate that the Nephilim, the bloodlines of the fallen angels, would also eat people. You know, to me, a lot of this is speculation. I've like that's how I consider it, because, okay, you know, the Bible says some things, we're extrapolating from the Bible. I suppose a lot of these things are true, but I don't really know. And I think unfortunately, until we actually like see it, none of us really know. But I think it is important to sort of wrestle with the speculation that is out there, because what if it is true? And I think the Epstein files has really vindicated a lot of people that were in that place of like, what if it is true, you know, or being sure it's true, maybe even if they shouldn't have. But you know, life doesn't make sense. The society doesn't make sense. I think a lot of people have the feeling that there's some sort of like the system is antagonistic against us all, and you know, I think people should trust their feelings, but you also have to purify your intuition. Yeah, I suppose though that, see, I've heard from the Inner Christos information from Ashiana Dean. I don't like their stuff that much. I think there's some good points in it. I think a lot of it is kind of warped. They're all about the cat people, and when I see the cat people on the astral plane, they're typically not the nicest. They're probably actually more clearly hostile than the reptilians. I don't know what that means. I do have more luck with more quote unquote negative beings, but yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of things are more teams than there's one particular group that's just causing all the problems of the world or something. So I'm not entirely certain that the reptilians are actually like a completely negative element, though they probably are. Yeah, like the other day I was doing the Hue mantra that I learned from Ekankar. This one, really I learned it before that from some guy that just dabbles in cults, but I did this and then I popped out onto the astral plane and I saw a reptilian there, and he had a more human face, but he had like sort of a hardened back of the head, like as if there's like some it was like ram's horns almost at the back, but they were like fixed into the head. It was like coiled like that. It's hard to describe. And I pushed him out. He was like in my mind space. So like if you pop out onto the astral plane and you see something and it's like right next to you, it usually means it's trying to feed off of you, or it's like invoked. It's like in your mind space, sort of sharing your consciousness. I've had experiences like this a few times with reptilians, which kind of, to me, like, tentatively confirms that reptilians probably do eat loosh or something like that. They somehow feed on the consciousness of others. Now, there's a lot of extreme conspiracy theories. Like, I've heard one where in Antarctica, there's like a big pre-Adamite settlement that was found, and there's like a bunch of reptilians frozen over there, and the reptilians are like astral projecting and feeding on people. I don't know about that. I sort of doubt it. It just kind of sounds absurd. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know everything, right? But I did have this experience, and I think I've seen it a few other times where I found reptilians in my mind space, but the previous one or two times that it happened, they looked different. They're like as if different types. Maybe I'm getting every time I push them out, I'm getting stronger ones to try and put me down or something. But see, this is one of the things I've experienced with magic that's really kind of unsettling, is like, so I can go on to Bardo right now, like the or maybe it's not Bardo, but the maze of you can pop out and you'll be in a maze like DMT people do. I can do that right now if I want. I can go there and I can manipulate things, and it can even maybe change my life a little bit. Like, I went out and was doing all kinds and was trying to like warp the prison a lot, and I found a book there, and I just kept it. I destroyed a bunch of these orbs that seemed to be keeping people trapped. Like, people's consciousness was fixed to these orbs. And shortly after, I was able to leave Fort Wayne. I could feel I was energetically quite trapped there. You know, but that's like, I was trying on so many levels to shake things around, to leave, that was just one of the things I was doing. But on Bardo, I see more like jesters, but they're not colorful. They're just black and white, but they look very sort of clownish. They have these very, jokerish faces. Um, you know, so there's kind of, that's something going on that doesn't seem to be related to the Reptilians at all. And then I've also, on the astral plane, this happened during like sleep, almost like sleep paralysis experiences. I would fight Greys on the astral plane, and those fights were a lot more serious. It wasn't, because the Reptilians, the reason I'm a little bit divided on them is because I'll just wake up, on a certain, I'll wake up to a certain like level of the astral plane or consciousness, and I'll see, oh shit, there's a reptilian there. The reptilian's just there, like, and then I'm like, and I just throw them out. I don't really even know if I should have, and they don't put up any fight whatsoever. The Greys, the Greys have tried to like, I think the whole UFO lore of Greys, like going in and manipulating, like putting in probes and stuff, I think that's all them messing with the energy body, because that's what happened to me. They used these like sparkly syringes one time to try and mess with me, and then I just pushed them away. And then next thing you know, I'm in these dreams and I'm having to fight these people in dreams, but it's the Greys. But it was only 2 of them. I don't know, like, why was it only 2 Greys? Didn't they have friends to call? And they came a second time too, in a second dream, on another night. But on the first night, it was 3 different dreams, all in a series. There's so much complication to all of this stuff. So I really just don't believe also that it's just perfectly simple. Okay, the reptilians are here, they're conquesting, or have conquested, they're the boss, that's it. I don't think it's that simple. I think there's whole spiritual hierarchies. I think the true full answer is just convoluted, and at the moment almost like unknowable. So I will say too that if whatever the sort of elite culture is, apparently Herodotus wrote about this, that there is a secret class of men that exists in every country that has the same practices. He even mentioned that they have the same hand signs, which sounds just like masonry, really. But it was like the very upper crust of the elite. And maybe he was talking about the Eleusinian mysteries. So, okay, it sounds the same as what we have today. Did that sort of thing get corrupted later? Has it always been bad? Has the human consciousness been imprisoned all this time? It's kind of hard to say. Like, I'm not there, you're not there. I think, maybe in previous lifetimes, but, we're where we are now. So, it's hard to say. And do people that are in even really know where these things come from? Who knows, So, it's one other thing I wanted to talk about, but it slipped away.